Welcome to our channel. Imagine you are playing a high-stakes game of Monopoly, but instead of everyone starting with the same amount of cash, the person sitting across from you has a literal printing press under the table. Every time they run low on funds, they just crank the handle and print a few more orange $500 bills. Meanwhile, you are over there carefully counting your ones and trying to save up enough for a single house on Baltic Avenue. It feels a bit unfair, doesn't it? Well, according to some very compelling and slightly unsettling economic theories, this isn't just a board game analogy. It is a fairly accurate description of our current global economy. The core of this discussion is the idea that we might only have a narrow 5-year window left to complete a genuine leap in our personal wealth. This isn't a doomsday prediction or a bit of internet clickbait. It is a projection based on the underlying logic of how the world is being rewritten by artificial intelligence. Once AI hits a certain tipping point where it becomes a tool that everyone uses for almost every conceivable task, the economic levels of our society might just lock into place. If you haven't secured your position at the top of the ladder before that happens, you might find yourself stuck at your current level with the rungs above you effectively removed. We aren't here to sell you anxiety, but we do want to look at the deep code of our economy so you don't get lost when the rules of the game change. To understand why this 5-year window is so critical, we have to look at the big picture often discussed by thinkers like Elon Musk. He suggests the future is heading toward one of two extremes. The optimistic version is a techno-utopia where AI and robots handle all the heavy lifting and basic production. In this scenario, humans enter an era of universal high income where the struggle for survival disappears and the very concept of money might eventually fade away because machines are doing all the work. But there is a darker version, the shadow version of that story, where the gap between the winners and everyone else doesn't just grow, it becomes a permanent, unbridgeable canyon. To see how this risk is manifesting, we need to talk about the K-shaped economy. Think about the letter K. One line shoots upward toward the sky, and the other line drops toward the ground. This is a perfect visual for our current world. The upward line represents the capital owners, the people who own things that naturally grow in value, like company stocks, real estate, intellectual property, and digital assets. When the economy gets a boost from the government, these people are like sailors who already have their sails up. They catch the wind of newly created money, and their wealth skyrockets. The downward line represents the labor camp people who primarily sell their time and skills for a paycheck. Even if their wages go up slightly, they are losing a race against the skyrocketing costs of housing, education, and healthcare. This split is happening because our current economic system has lost its natural rhythm. Ideally, an economy should breathe. It should expand during times of prosperity and contract during a recession to clear out inefficiency and make room for the next round of growth. But humanity is terrified of the word recession. We want the graph to go up forever. So whenever the economy shows signs of cooling down, central banks pump in massive amounts of credit and printed money to keep the fire burning. Since 2020, we have been living through a massive experiment where nearly 40% of all US dollars currently in circulation were created in just the last few years. This flood of money has pushed asset prices to record highs. But it has created a strange kind of prosperity where everything is expensive and no one feels truly secure. The thinker Jeff Booth points out a fascinating paradox here. He argues that in a world of constant technological progress, things should actually be getting cheaper. If our tools are getting better and more efficient, your phone, your car, and your groceries should cost less every year. This is called deflation. And in a healthy system, it should allow everyone to benefit from human innovation. But our monetary system is designed for constant expansion. The new money doesn't go to everyone equally. It flows into the financial system first, where it chases scarce assets and drives their prices out of reach for the average person. Since the year 2000, global assets have increased about 4 times in value. But much of that isn't real wealth, it is just those assets being repriced in a currency that is losing its value every single day. Now, enter artificial intelligence. AI is the ultimate efficiency machine, and it is evolving at an exponential speed in areas like data analysis, content generation, coding, and complex decision-making. For those in the upper half of the K-shape, AI is a massive power multiplier that allows them to optimize assets and expand markets at speeds we have never seen before. But for those trying to climb the ladder through traditional professional skills, the moats they built around their careers are being filled in. Jobs that used to require years of specialized training, like graphic design, legal drafting, or market analysis, are seeing their value compressed because AI can do them in seconds for a fraction of the cost. This isn't just about manual labor being replaced. It is about the algorithm flood washing away the professional gatekeepers. This means the old path of working hard and slowly saving up capital is becoming steeper and more crowded. We might be moving from an open, opportunity-driven economy into a world of digital feudalism. In this scenario, wealth and power are concentrated in a tiny group of digital lords who control the AI systems, the data, and the financial infrastructure, while everyone else survives on unstable gig work or government-issued credits. Social mobility could effectively freeze because the efficiency of AI leaves very little room for an individual to find a niche and optimize it for a profit. This brings us to a massive clash of economic philosophies. The Keynesians versus the Austrian school. The Keynesians believe the government must act as a stabilizer, pumping money into the system to prevent crashes and encourage spending. They see mild inflation as a tool to keep the economy moving. On the other side, the Austrian school sees the economy as a self-healing ecosystem where recessions are necessary to prune away bad investments. They believe money should be a stable measure of value, hard money, like gold that cannot be printed at will. They argue that printing money to save failing institutions only rewards the people who caused the problem, while punishing savers and the average person whose money buys less and less. Even Thomas Jefferson warned about this risk long ago, saying that if the people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, the banks and corporations that grow up around them will use inflation and then deflation to deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. In the age of AI, this choice becomes even more critical. Will we have a centralized system where your survival depends on a government-controlled digital credit tied to your identity? Or will we move toward a decentralized model where the efficiency of AI makes products so cheap that you can live comfortably off your own accumulated hard assets? This is why many people see Bitcoin as a massive social experiment. It is an attempt to create a digital version of hard money with a strictly limited supply of 21 million units that no central authority can change. It acts as a fixed ruler in a world where the government's measuring tape is made of rubber. While its price is famously volatile, its supporters see it as a way to opt out of a system that is constantly diluting their labor and time. So, what is the practical takeaway for you? We are likely in the final stages of a rare window of opportunity. This might be the last gold rush where an individual can still use a unique skill or a new innovation to jump from the bottom of the K-shape to the top before the levels lock in. In the future, ownership of productive assets, intellectual property, and digital assets will likely be much more important than the ability to perform a specific labor task. It is time to think about shifting your effort from just chasing a linear raise to building a portfolio of assets that can generate income and hold value across different environments. Ask yourself, what is the moat around my career? Is my skill set being magnified by AI or replaced by it? Is my wealth stored in something that can be printed away, or in productive assets that hold their value? The rules of the economic game are being rewritten as we speak. Those who keep following the old map will likely get lost as the new continent emerges. It is time to be a student of the system, a calm planner, and someone who isn't afraid to experiment with the future. We would love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think we are heading toward a techno-utopia or a new kind of digital feudalism? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this discussion helpful, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like to help us grow. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.